Welcome to the AHA podcast. I'm your host, Anastasia.
And I'm your host, Hannah, because you don't need to know my last name at this moment.
No, we're just going to do it on a first name basis right now. And today we are going to be discussing the finale of Yellowjackets season 2. This is our first episode, so we're really excited. And without further ado, let's just get right into it.
Okay, trailer, go. You start because I watch most of these crackhead shit. So,
Okay, let's talk about some trailers that dropped. So I think at least from what I've seen, I think the Barbie one is the one that is the most, like the one that people are the most excited about. And I kid you not, every time I fucking open up Instagram or even Facebook for some reason, bitch, there's like stills of the movie and people are like, the Barbie movie 2023. And I was like, why is this on Facebook, bro? I'm like, who on Facebook is reposting all this shit on my fucking timeline, bro? But what are your thoughts on the Barbie trailer? I think it looks fucking awesome. I think it's gonna be a fun time.
I know it's hard because they've been really good at promoting this. So you're like, can it be, or you keep forgetting it's end of July that it's coming out. So you're like, damn it, like, come on, hurry up,
Like, bitch, I thought it was
let's
coming out tomorrow.
go.
What the fuck?
No, but then you realize like, oh, this is the main trailer. I'm glad that we got more of like the story of it, even though I think everyone could have just, if they only had released the official teaser, I think we all would have been like still as hyped to go
Right.
watch it. But no, it looks so good and it's so well thought out, and I love Barbies. Like those in the clip when it's like those girls like, nobody plays with Barbie. I'm like, bitch, I played with Barbie. I mean, I have 20 kids right now, but I'm like, bitch, if I met Barbie in real life, I would have been like, oh my gosh.
Bitch, period.
So
And Margot Robbie playing Barbie, I think is just like the ultimate top tier casting. I'm like, bitch, I cannot wait to see her play this role. It's so
she's so
exciting.
good. And even because Ryan Gosling came out and said he was like, yeah, she has like some like a fearlessness that you can only get like growing up, like in Australia, swimming in like shark infested waters is what he said, which is so true. And like she just has that grace, but she can fucking act. So she has that complexity of where Barbie's obviously having like a mental crisis of like, what is my life, And then everything, and even the supporting cast, like when like she
Right.
does her flat feet thing and they're all like,
That shit was so funny. I love that. That scene looked really funny.
and I'm glad that they didn't put too many like jokes and stuff in it, because sometimes I hate where you're like, oh, I know all the jokes. Like that was kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy. They put a lot of the jokes, but that was one of the few movies where you watch it and you still laugh at those jokes you watched
Hmm.
in the trailer. So I was happy that they didn't put like too
Too
much of their
many.
good stuff, that where you're like, okay, I'm still gonna be surprised, hopefully, and laugh. And I mean, I love Greta Gerwig, so I'm always gonna support
Oh
her
my
regardless
God,
of what
she is an
movie's her name
icon.
on, even White Noise. So
No, she's incredible. I love her. She's also like been popping up on all my stuff, like interviews and stuff. And I'm like, bitch, I want to meet this woman so badly. She's so good at what she does. I'm like, we support women in this household.
did you see the Vogue photo shoot that Margot Robbie did for Barbie?
I don't think I did.
They did
Let's
really good.
see.
It's all obviously like Barbie essence, but like, so there's like these giant rulers that is up here, and she's like wearing like some of like the like almost like
The
collectible old-fashioned Barbie, and like it's really good. It's really cute.
She looks incredible. Also, I don't remember when that photo dropped, but where she's in that beautiful pink outfit with like the vest and the flared pant or the bell bottom pants. I was like, I'm not a huge pink girl. I think you know that. But I'm like, bitch, I would buy that and just have it in my closet. Where would I wear it? I don't know, probably the grocery store, but I don't go anywhere
But
else.
no,
So
yeah, because then we had all those like press like
it's like
paparazzi photos where it
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, and then even the roller skate stuff, and you're like, yeah, this is gonna be interesting. Of like her almost seeming like she's leaving like the Barbie store and like entering the real world and all that.
Right.
So
You know what that shit is reminding me of? Is reminding me of that movie with fucking Tyra Banks and Lindsay Lohan, Life
yeah, life
Size.
size. Mm-hmm.
I that movie has it's like a core memory in my brain as a kid. Bitch, I remember watching that movie and that scene where she's in like the jersey But they're like by a pool. Am I making that up?
No, that sounds
Right?
but it's same. It's like one of those childhood movies that you like hold dear. I never watched the second one though, and I haven't watched it in so long. But like, because sometimes you're like, I think it would still hold up. Like
Mm.
some of those movies in your childhood where you're like, no, it's just a nostalgia feeling.
The
It's
Parent
like Catch
Trap.
That Kid and Parent, like, where it's like
Yeah.
I could still watch it today and be like, dang, this was a good movie. But there's some where it's like, I'm gonna keep that as a
I'm
good
gonna keep
memory and
that
I'm not gonna
closed over
rewatch
there.
it.
In
Yeah.
that drawer over there. First of all, I am dumb and I totally forgot they were doing The Color Purple.
Yeah, and it's gonna be a musical.
Yeah, oh my God. I'm
I mean,
excited
Halle
for it.
Bailey is popping off. She said,
Oh, yeah. She said,
listen,
you know
y'all.
what? We're
But
gonna
also
do
her
all of
sister
it.
is too, because I watched
Right.
Swarm and Chloe
Hmm.
Bailey was very good in that show, but they also both were in Grownish. Like they can act,
Oh yeah,
So, and
100%.
obviously they can sing and dance without a doubt. But like, I mean, sometimes with musicians, the acting, but I don't know. I
Yeah.
feel like more with child performers, they know how to act. Like they know how to act on camera. They know where the camera is. They know how to do their stuff. So.
Yeah. Well, that's a great segue because let's talk about The Little Mermaid that came out earlier this week. I've heard good things about it, and I need to stay off the internet. Although, bitch, yeah, you can even get that fucking movie spoiled for you. If you fucking watch the original, you know what is going on. But I keep seeing little clips of people like filming that shit in the movie theater, which don't do, but it's okay.
Don't do it. Sometimes, I mean,
Hold on, sidetrack. We talked about this earlier, but like people who fucking record Broadway shows are sent from the heavens. I'm like, how do you sit there like this and like are not scared, bitch? Like I would have too much
or get
anxiety about
caught.
that.
The real question is how you don't get
How you don't get
caught. Because
caught?
there's stories where like different things happen and then the usher's like yelling at you. But that's where you have
Yeah.
to do like a GoPro chest thing where
Yeah,
it's like
with like a little hole.
hidden. Yeah. Where you just can be like,
Hey,
but
and
some of them they be like
but some people
zooming
zoom
in and I'm
in. Yeah.
like, that's why I don't know if they like pay if they're like, yo, this show has been out for like a year. Here's some
Let me
money. Let me
just
just
yeah.
record this. You
Just
don't
shut the fuck
notice
up. Here's some
me.
money.
Yeah, but people who film movie, I think it's way easier to film a movie
Oh,
because nobody
100%.
comes in and checks anymore, like the
Also, I feel like nobody
workers.
really cares anymore with the movies. They're like, whatever.
Also because you had so much also even with like TV, especially with like HBO when stuff was getting leaked, like Game of Thrones episodes and stuff like that, where you're like,
Yeah.
there's not much you can do. I mean, it's upsetting because that's like the view wise, like you're
Yeah.
taking, but also there's some people who's like, I can't afford this, or like I'm not gonna spend my money on it, but at least now I watched a movie and I'm like,
Right.
yeah, no, I'm seeing it Tuesday, so I'm excited. I mean, yeah,
Oh.
I've heard people like everyone that I know that's not like a critic. Everybody's a
So,
critic, but not getting paid to criticize movies. Um, Everyone is like, it's so good, and then we also get 3 original songs, which will be interesting,
right.
like the flounder and the bird that my brain said don't remember its
What's
name.
his name?
Aquafina's
Scuttle?
bird.
No.
Scuttle, yeah,
Scuttle, right?
Scuttle.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They have a song and all that stuff. So I just what amazes me with that is that when you see all the BTS and like she acted literally with puppets and blue screen and like in the
Yes.
water. Like she was very alone the most of the time and yet
Mm-hmm.
she's giving off this
All
like
these reactions.
amazing performance when you realize and then you look back and you realize the reality of her and you're like or like them wearing like leggings but they just the top and they're like her with like Javier Bardem. There was a picture that came out and then like wearing their leggings and then they're like little stickers and stuff for like the
For
visual
that
effects
motion
and then
cap.
she's like imagine standing there and you have to like act serious and you're like well I don't have my fin yet like and all that stuff my tail but that's why actors get paid what they do because sometimes they're in a situation where you're like and how are you acting in this.
Like, that's insane to me. Every time looking at behind the scenes is one of my like favorite pastimes. Um, but like looking at that shit and then seeing what these actors are like acting in, you're like, bitch, what the fuck? But then you see like obviously after post and all that stuff that gets added onto it, you're like, wait a damn minute. Like, how the fuck? Like, prime example for me, I know people don't like Avatar. Okay, I get it. Whatever. It's whatever. You can have an opinion. But like when you think about the grand scheme of what that movie is and how it was made, it's incredible. Like none of that shit is real, bitch. Like all that shit is motion cap. And those actors are giving such incredible performances with like nothing around them, bitch. And you're like, that's a good actor, bitch. Like, wow. To have nothing in front of you and have to give off a genuine emotional reaction is insane. And I think they deserve more praise.
Oh yeah, no, especially with motion capture with like video games and all that
Oh
stuff
yeah.
too. So,
Bitch, I want to do a
but
video game so bad. That shit would be so fun.
no, yeah, Jodie Comer is gonna be. Well, yeah, I just have to give no's on Jodie Comer.
Yes.
And with
With
David
David
Harbour,
Harbour.
yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. Exciting also that it's gonna make a lot of money at the box office, so that's always good for Little Mermaid. I mean,
Oh
does
yeah.
Disney need more money? No, but I think, but then it shows again also because the whole with I still don't understand the whole people being like, well, she's black, and we're like,
Oh
okay.
my God, that shit is so. I'm like,
But
who?
then you look at her and she's like an actual Princess Halle Bailey. Like I was watching this interview that she did on a talk show in daytime, and she's like talking to these little
Yes.
girls, and she's just so sweet that you're like, no, she's just talented and good, and that's equality right there. You choose the
But
best person for the job, and then also seeing all the little black girls that are like, she looks like me, and it's not just again like all they got was Princess Tiana, who half of the movie was a frog, like.
right, yeah. Like I don't like it. I remember when she got casted and the entire internet and people in my life too were like, "Why not?" I'm like, bitch. I'm like, you don't. I don't think you actually care. I think you're just bored and you're trying to go against what everyone else is saying. Like, why does it matter? It's not. It's not like okay. Well, we're not gonna talk about the Mulan live action, but it's like not. But it's not like it's not. Not that it's not important to the plot, but it's not like casting a black woman to play Mulan. Do you know what I mean? Like Ariel was
Mhm.
not her color
The
of
only trait
skin
she
does
had
not
was red hair. The only thing you take away
exactly
from
is the
Ariel
red
is like
hair.
if you saw a red wig, like she'd be like Ariel. That's all that really mattered to Ariel's character, and that she was a mermaid.
And it's
Really?
the plot of the story. It's not So I when people were getting angry, I was like, what the fuck is the point? I'm like, she's a goddamn mermaid, bro. It'd be different if they didn't make her a mermaid in the Little Mermaid, bitch. That would cause uproar, in my opinion, more than the color of the actress's skin. She plays the role incredibly, and her voice is
Yeah, then you
fucking
heard her sing.
eternal, bitch. You're like, bitch, I'm reaching euphoria. Like her voice is incredible, and like you said, like I've seen videos of her at Disney World and interacting with all these little girls who are like excited to see, and that is like the most heartwarming thing ever. That is, I think, why a lot of people get into the industry is to give representation and have those moments of having like younger generations see themselves on the screen. That's what's important. That's why people preach for representation and equality, is because it really does matter seeing someone that looks like you on the screen.
The thing is, like, it's not like they burned every copy of the Little Mermaid like animated movie. That's so it's like
Right.
you still have that. So if you don't want to support
Then
this
go
live
watch
action,
that
then
one,
you
bitch.
don't
I
have
don't.
to. You can still hold on to the animated one and this
Right.
and that. And then I'm glad because this one I hopefully does like well and good because they have a history of the live actions not always
Not doing
doing
very
great.
well. Mm-hmm.
So and like this making enough money and showing like okay, and also like I feel like all the haters, y'all shut up. The minute she sings, you're like, you know what? That was a good
But then
cast move. That
dumb
was
people, dumb ignorant people are gonna be like, "Wow, it still wasn't that good, bitch." I want you to fucking sing underwater, bitch. Fuck you.
But I mean, I still because I like to read comments and stuff. So like I would accept the comments for this stuff.
They're gonna be
I
disabled.
yeah we don't believe in community comments here. Was talking when they released a little bit of clip of Ursula's song with Melissa McCarthy, and somebody was like people were like, oh my gosh, this is great. I thought it was great, and
You
but
did a
somebody
good
commented
job.
like, oh, it doesn't hold the same weight, but it's like, but it's true because it will never be like the first time you heard Poor Unfortunate Souls where you're like, okay, this
The-
bop. This is gonna be known for a long time. Like they were never gonna be able to recreate that feeling except for people who never watched the animated movie. So
exactly.
of course, like it's not gonna be the same gravitas for the first time you ever heard that song because it's literally the same fucking song. So
Yeah. But no, that scene
yeah.
looks really good. I've seen a couple minutes of that scene and it looks really awesome. The fact that also that these actors were on like wires acting around each other, I'm like, bitch, you guys are too incredible. I applaud each and every one of you. That's insane. But then also like the amount of post bitch that happens in this
No, that
like
and those people like to also like to direct them enough where everything looks good. Like even with that,
her
like
the
for her
hair and the
Ox, yeah, and you're like, obviously she doesn't have everything of that, but like how well it looks and stuff. Because
yeah.
I mean, I'm not a huge CGI fan, but like obviously I know if it's like we're underwater, like obviously we're not getting like real like fish and stuff, but they're making it at
Yeah.
least look like the most realistic that they can.
Yeah. What are
Hence
your
why
thoughts?
flounder looks like
Okay, I was
this.
gonna ask you that. What are your because I know when that shit came out, some people were I was a little like drawn back by it too. What are your thoughts on them taking more of the realistic approach of the underwater versus like a little more cartoony?
No, I feel because it's not like like if you think of the original Mary Poppins where they do the penguin thing and like the animated stuff comes out, like that fits because it's a kids thing. And I realize this is also hence like geared towards kids. But even the whole, I would say, even the color grading of it, which I know some people are like, I wish it was a bit more brighter and
Mm-hmm.
stuff, is a lot more like diluted a little bit, but it looks more realistic and it's a live action. I rather go for the realistic approach than,
Yeah.
hey, let's Kate. Because then what the fuck was the point of them making live action if they was all cartoon like shit? Also, I don't think Disney can do that anymore once they started with Jungle Book and made all that shit look as real as they,
Yeah.
possibly could. That they got the best of the best, so might as well like fucking let them do their work. I
That's
think
yeah.
the thing is with Flounders because the animated one was like like it was a fish, but like you never seen that fish before, you know what I mean? So then you like, and not many people are acquainted with all the fish of the sea that you're like, wait, what the fuck? That's the actual fish it was based off of. I'm
Yeah.
a little. I do like that they added Scuttle as a fish that could swim underwater.
Right. Yeah,
They
they
did
did.
add
That
that
was a
so she could,
change
which makes sense because everybody under the water. So then it was like, okay, then that makes it easier for them to,
for them to interact a little more than her having to go
yeah.
up to the surface. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
where they're always like, hey,
Hey, yeah.
like right by this one rock that's floating here that we're gonna like talk to you at. But yeah, no, I like that better than. And then it's like anything once you watch it a bunch of times, then you get used to it. So
Yeah. I do want to touch a little bit on Queen Charlotte because bitch, that show was so good. That show was so good. Okay, so I'm not a huge Bridgerton fan, but I am a Bridgerton fan. I do like the first two
let me like,
seasons.
I'm not a
But it's
huge.
not like I mean, some people are like about other things, like I am with Criminal Minds. I'm like, bitch, I can talk about it all the time, and I can watch it all the time. Um, but I loved the first two seasons. Season two, I think, is by far my favorite. I just think Anthony and Kate have such an awesome dynamic, and it's the enemies to lovers. Love that trope. So when I heard Queen Charlotte was coming out, at first, when I heard the casting and the news come out about it, I was like, oh, interesting. Okay. It's gonna be an interesting thing to see how, the King and Charlotte meet. Because if you've read the books, Queen Charlotte is not a very prominent character in the books at all, which I found interesting that they made her a bigger character. Because I was watching an interview, I think it was during like the premiere of season two, and Shonda Rhimes was talking to Julia Quinn, who's the author of the books, and Shonda was talking about how when she read the books, she instantly fell in love with them and wanted to make a show about it, which is typically how things go. You read something you're like, bitch, that's gonna be a movie or a show. And so she read the books and reached out to Julia Quinn and was like, hey, I really want to do the show, but I do want to make, the queen a bigger prominent character, which I thought was a really awesome idea. And now she's become kind of like a fan favorite because she is an icon. I mean,
I mean,
her
she has
and
the
Lady
best wigs
Danbury,
too.
period, heaviest wigs. Oh my God. I was watching an interview and I think she had said that it was like 50 pounds on her head. I'm like, damn,
Is
bitch,
it
you need a
one
neck
one?
brace.
No, no, yeah. One she said she had to wear a neck brace for that. You're like,
I'm like, damn, y'all can make that shit out of foam or something. God damn. But no, I found it really interesting, and I think they did it really well. because it's 8 episodes, I believe, for that series, and I think they did it so well, and I loved those characters. Although I will say, however, um, first of all, I did love that they casted the actress that plays young Lady Danbury, not English. She's not an English actress, which I was like, fucking finally, bitch. I was like, my turn can come and I can play someone with a British accent, even though I'm not from that part of the world. Because I think we had this conversation before where like you have like Australian actors, English actors, playing like American characters and having to do like American accents, which I'm like, cool, yeah. Whoever's the best for the job, I think should get it, regardless of, if they have the accent or not. I think it's more fun as an actor to be able to train and do and learn, how to do that. But she killed it. Young Lady Danbury.
I was watching a TED talk by her because I didn't realize she's like a Scottish,
Yes.
and like, yeah, and I was like, okay, no wonder, like, yes, we want educated women like playing it, and then it also helps because Lady Danbury is like, and it was nice to see like, and it was nice that they cut back and forth between
Between the
like,
timelines, yeah.
technically the present time and the older time to see like how these women came to be. I have to say though, like her sex scenes with
With Violet's dad?
because I remember everyone like doing like reaction videos where you're like, damn. Oh no, not Violet's dad. I mean like her actual like
Her
husband.
actual
Like
husband, that
yeah,
old
where you're
man.
like where she's just like
And she's like,
which like played in the comedy of like, yes, I'm not here. And then I loved when she was like, I was at the church, like the older lady around, she's like, I was at the church because I was making an orphanage in the name of my husband, who didn't
who
like
hated
orphans or hated girls. And then you're like, yes, like that's what you want. And I'm glad that she was like, no, I don't want to be married. Like
period.
when flipping Queen Charlotte's like brothers, like, and you think like, oh, they could have a good life. And she was like, no, I'm good.
I'm good.
Like, and like you saw her already like her little like, oh, talks to the queen, and then like the mother-in-law is like, no, tell me what's happening, and she's like, and then the minute that they're like, no, we're friends, and then she's like, yeah, I'm not gonna like keep spreading stuff around for it. But
Yeah.
I mean, I love Shonda Rhimes. That woman's what got me to love television. So when I was like, wow, this is really good, like then you realize like she wrote like every episode except for one. So like you're like, okay, yay, we have Shonda Rhimes back like writing and stuff like that, even though she's such a good producer and she has an eye for like, getting it. And of
Right.
course, like as a Black woman, when she sees like, hey, this character, let's make it more prominent, let's tell these stories and having like these mixed races in it. Because there was this one guy, he's like famous, he does like reaction videos, but he would be on like Ellen and stuff, and he was like, Shonda Rhimes, why are you doing this to us? Like you're telling us as a Black person, like I could get this love and I deserve this love and all this stuff. And then like of course he was like being like like screw you type like in tone, but it was like true, like no, yeah, then you see, and I like how they're putting it in this regal Victorian time where that was not the case,
Right.
for people. And then having the whole topic of like that in this period where they put them like having Queen Charlotte being a Black woman was like, no, we need you to like, no, we need you here and a good representation so we can all come into court and we can have this, equality that we've been wanting to, because even though we're, in the kingdom, we're not really,
Yeah.
like put in. So no, it was really, and then of course like the love story, and then anybody with like the memory loss, like what he had, then you're just kind of like heartbroken that they still have those sweet moments, but then him going like, yeah, like yelling at the moon and stuff,
Yelling at the
and then
moon
he's
naked
like,
in the garden, bitch, talking about Venus, and you're like, what the fuck? I'm also
but they,
so
oh
like
yeah,
confused on what, because I was like, I did some
it escalated fast.
research, and I did some research, and I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, what did this king actually have historically speaking? And it still made no sense to me. I was like, wait.
Yeah, but then you also
what?
think like in that time, somebody writing his like historical text on somebody yelling at the moon, like you're like, how do you like? I don't know how to tell you this without being like. And then he did this, and then he wrote, and something was off, but we're not quite sure. And then
What it was.
and then the touching on like the tour, like the shit that they would clearly do back in the day, where like we should
Yes.
have leeches on you. I think that's gonna
That's
cure
gonna
your,
take the voices out of your head, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but then, but the actress who played young Queen Charlotte, like she did
India
so
is
good.
absolutely incredible, and I need her in more shit.
No, yeah, hopefully this is like her being like, yo, cast her, because like, and not only the chemistry between the two, which obviously
Oh my
that was a
God.
big thing of like you couldn't cast people who didn't have chemistry, but like that one, not only does she look like literally like, oh my gosh, yeah, that completely believable, which I think a lot of the casting, you're like, oh yeah, that's like makes sense. Like I could see you growing old into that for
Mm-hmm.
sure. Because sometimes they cast and you're like, okay, I'll
We
believe it because this is just, you know,
You're
a
like,
flashback scene, or, you know, I'll just believe it. But she did so, like her delivery of everything and
oh,
like just the range of
bitch.
emotions and all that stuff. And then I forget that I'm like, yay for Bridgerton, where they're like fuck having women naked. We're gonna mostly make all the men. Like you'll see their
Period.
ass. But then I love her, she's like fully clothed, and he was like, screw it. Like when they had sex in the bathtub, they're like, whatever. Like,
Yes.
and you're like, yeah, good, because the woman ain't gonna be like, yeah, let me show.
Yeah.
She's like, I can wear my nightgown. That's
Yeah, I
fine.
don't care.
Yeah.
No,
It's
I
easy
think
access.
right, exactly. Ain't
Pretty
nothing.
much. So you're like, yeah, the trousers, the boys like, yeah, of course you're gonna take off all your shit because you guys
Yeah,
got too much
bitch.
stuff.
But I also think that Corey, who played the younger George, did such a fucking incredible job. And I think, especially towards like the later episodes, where he really, you can see him fighting and that struggle between, he wants to, you know, be close to Charlotte and be with her, but he knows he could put her in danger. And you're like, no, you're like, please just tell her what's going on, because she thinks you hate her. And you're like, no, bitch, please. And then when he confesses his love in that like observatory or whatever, bitch, I was like shook. I paused and processed for like a good 30 minutes. I was like, it's like that is so cute. And then that last fucking scene, bitch, when they're
Under the bed,
older, under
yeah.
the bed, and he talks about how she didn't go over the wall. Oh my God. It makes you so giddy, and then like it just it makes you happy, but then also kind of sad because he is like losing his memories. But then also I read some shit where I sent it to you before, but where the reason Queen Charlotte continues to wear that old like Regency era stuff in like the present timeline while everybody else is wearing more modern clothing for the time. She wears that stuff so that George can recognize her because he's not, you know, his mind is still in the old uh like whatever the fuck I'm
Yeah.
trying to say, bitch. So she wears that
Time
for
period.
him. Time period, yes. But then also when you see in Bridgerton, in those seasons, you see Queen Charlotte with all those fucking Pomeranian pups. And I read somewhere where somebody was theorizing that the reason she has so many is because George keeps forgetting he's already gifted her like one. So he keeps sending her more. And I was like, I was like, shut the fuck up. I'm like, I can't.
I
I'm like,
support that theory.
that's so cute.
No, I love that with the costume things and all these little things,
The small things like
like the world's building, where it's like, no, this is
yes.
all well thought out. This is all done, like, because then it makes fun as a viewer where you're like, oh my God. Because not only you're like, no, it's just a good show, but then when you find the little like Easter eggs and stuff
It
or
makes you
whatever that they
appreciate it
wanted
even
to,
more.
you're like, okay, they really thought about this. But also the fact that it was a limited series, so I think then you can really put in more effort. And then, I mean, I'm a fan of the director Tom, who
Oh
like because
yes.
he's always been a part of Shonda Rhimes stuff. So he's directed
Mm-hmm.
Grey's Anatomy, Scandal. He was in How to Get Away with Murder as the husband.
Yes,
So then
yes.
it's and he also like he's married to a black woman. So then it's like how beautiful for him to be able to direct this
Right.
story between like an interracial couple, and to do, and he's directed a lot of Bridgerton too as well, and he
Mm-hmm.
executive like produces stuff. So like the whole team, and I think having the same people too, like, but that usually goes for limited series. Like,
Right.
okay, we're gonna have the same director, writers pretty much throughout the whole thing, because then it really feels like everything's tied together. But what you were saying earlier with like episode 4, when you were like, why is this man being like an a-hole? Like, why he like being like, oh, it's your wedding night, bye. And then seeing his perspective of like on
Yes.
episode 4 of like, no, he was really fighting for
And
her
you're
and all
like,
that
oh
stuff.
no, I misjudged you.
You're like, I didn't realize you did that. Oh my gosh. Yeah, but then I like that you misjudge him, that you're like, you know
Yeah.
what? Because then you think, and then she's like, I wish you were in a brothel. Because why the heck are
Yeah,
you
because you're
like,
like, what the fuck are you
want to
doing in
see
an
the
observatory
stars?
looking at the fucking stars, bitch? I'm confused.
Yeah. But I
Yeah.
really want to be like, I really wanted like somebody to be like, so actually what he wrote actually makes a lot of sense. Like we did
Yes.
use that discovery for astronomical, like I wanted it to be like, he wasn't just writing whatever the fuck he was writing on there with like plants and like the star. Yeah, you're like, okay. But yeah, and I do like that that when sorry, before my brain like deletes everything that's in my head right now. Um now it's going.
No.
It will come back to me. It will come back to me.
His
But
the
oh, I liked that neither was right. Like that he had this whatever illness or like mental illness or disease, like whatever it was that he, had, that it didn't get better with what the doctor did. It didn't
right.
necessarily get better being with Queen Charlotte, but they chose to embrace it and be happy than being like, I'm gonna have you going through torture. Because no offense, what I never understood is he was going through all of this, but he still was like pretty like good in the head, right?
Hmm.
So why wouldn't you not enjoy it and then be like, hey, when it comes really bad, I will go and I will like seek whatever treatment and enjoy the moments. Like that's why I like that Queen trying to push like, no, let's enjoy having each other. And then of course, like no matter, it's not gonna go away because I'm hanging with you.
Yeah.
Of course, it did seem like that, and then it was like, oh, it came back or whatever. But like, yeah, I would have been like, let's enjoy the time we have together before you completely,
Yeah.
lose it, than being like, well, we waited this whole time so you could fucking be sucked by leeches and we never saw each other and now that shit didn't even actually fully work, so we
Oops.
don't get to enjoy each other's company or whatever. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, Farmer George.
Mama George. Oh my
The only
god.
time everyone is like swooning, like, he's a farmer. Like, I think that's the only time. Because no, if you're like, he's a farmer, you're like,
You're- okay, I don't
but only in
yeah.
this, you're like, Farmer George. Oh my gosh, I want a Farmer George. Yeah. I mean, he looked hot when he was like, yeah, shirtless over there
Oh
plowing, and you're like,
yeah. Oh.
okay.
Like, okay, yeah. It's Queen Charlotte. I love there's that fucking shot where he's coming from the fucking garden or whatever, and I think she's in like a room with the ladies of her court or something. I don't remember.
Hmm.
Oh, and Mozart is playing for her, which was also historically accurate. That's super cool if they put that in there. Anyway, and she sees George like coming back to the castle, and she looks through the window, and he walks past, but she's still like squishing her face to the window. And I was like, I don't know if that was India's instinct, but that was hilarious. I loved that small little shot because I was like, I love that it's a great blend of comedy. But then also like there are the topics that are being discussed that are a bit more serious, which I really like that blend. It doesn't seem too serious, or it's not like, making fun of things. Um,
No, it was a good
it blends
dramedy.
it
It was
really
a good
well.
mix, yeah, of
But
it.
I'm still really confused on Lady Danbury and Violet's dad. I was like, I don't know if it's gonna happen, and then it happened, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like,
I know when you were texting me,
okay.
like, are they gonna have? And then this whole time, then I'm watching it after, and I'm like, so like, are they gonna get or what? What's happening? Like, but then I love it was like, I can't with the whole party hat thing.
Bitch,
Like,
and
like
she
that's
put him
40 years
all.
later. 40 years, yeah, she's like, oh, do you like my party hats around the house? And then she's
And
like,
Lady
and
Danbury's
then
like,
like 40 years later, because of one hat, you find out your dad had a flipping affair with like a woman that you like respect, and you're like, wait, what?
I would have shipped it. I'm like, okay, period, bitch. Lady Danbury's a
I would have,
catch.
yeah, that's why. But then I guess it's more realistic that they wouldn't actually be like, so like you screwed my dad. Like I wanted her to
Yeah.
like straight out say it, but then they
Me
kind of were
too.
like, with their eyes, they were having the conversation that I wanted them to actually verbally have. So I was like, can we just, so we all on the same page? Like what
So
you
we're
telling
good.
me, yeah, 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 and it obviously ended or whatever. But yeah, that's like the stuff in childhood when you're like, wait, let me rethink my life. Wait, that's why she was waiting for my dad buy our property. I mean, figure all that out where you're like, Okay.
Is there anything you want to talk about on this list before we actually
No.
get into what the fuck this
No.
episode is
This
supposed to
we've
be?
already I'm gonna look right into this camera. We've already talked about already too much shit that I'm like, I would call half the shit I said earlier that we no. I listen, those shows, let me tell you, I can always go back to those shits and I'll keep adding to the list of what shows I want to bring up and be like, so this show has ended. Let's
Yeah.
talk about it.
So I
Yeah.
think we should
And
get
then maybe I'll add shows that you actually watched. Maybe
that I
I'll
actually
add
watched,
shows you
maybe.
actually watched. Yeah.
Maybe. But okay, let's actually get into what the fuck this episode is supposed to be because we've been talking for over an hour about stuff that is
Yahtzee.
not what this episode is focusing on.
But listen, we can always split this into two. That's what I said. I was like, bitch.
So we'll figure that out. But so Yellowjacket season 2 has ended. The finale has aired. I'm upset about it. I have a lot of thoughts, and I have a lot of really intimidating letters to write to certain people on that motherfucking team because I'm really upset. So let's get into discussing what the fuck happened in the finale. Do we want to go into the finale right away, or do we want to talk a little bit about, in case some people don't know what the fuck Yellowjackets is, do we want to kind of talk a little bit about it?
Okay, Yellowjackets is that show that you're probably getting ads for that has like a varsity jacket that Yellowjackets is in reference to the hornet, I think is. I don't do bugs. But yeah, it's not a bee, but it's a yellow jacket. And, and it's that show that has all those amazing women that are leading it.
Oh.
It's basically covers two timelines in the 1996 and then present time like 2022, 2023. And it's basically about a group of girls who's on a varsity soccer team. They're heading to nationals from New Jersey. They're headed to Seattle and they get in a plane crash and they get stranded in the wilderness for about 18 months. So we're basically following that main story of them getting to the crash, and then we're cutting back to, you know, obviously not everyone survived the plane crash. That ain't a spoiler. That's just facts.
That's just you
know.
see, yeah.
And then
But
so
there
you
will
see
be
some of the girls
spoilers.
who did survive, and you see how that trauma of them, anybody, first of all, just getting in a plane crash is trauma, but then having to survive for 18 months in the Canadian wilderness, that also surprisingly leaves you with traumatic stuff, and kind of seeing how people are coping with it, how that affected them, especially when it kind of gets brought up in like they get a postcard because you find out somebody's blackmailing them. And so then they kind of start coming back into touch with each other. Then they start like discussing it, because you can tell that I don't think anybody's really coping with what they went through. But I mean, they're women. You just suppress the pain
You just
and you
suppress
just
it
carry
until
on. And
you
then if
can't
you need
suppress
to
it
go
anymore.
stab somebody or like get out anger, you go do it and you come back and you pretend that everything's fine and that you can do anything. So
Period.
yeah.
Girl, I
knew you were
really
gonna
upset.
be.
I'm so
I knew you were gonna be, because well, I remember you being like, Natalie is my favorite character, which I love Natalie. First of all, the casting on this show
oh
is
my
like
god.
impeccable. And talk about like young to old, like they do so well, and the fact that they talk to each other about like, you know, who this character is, how they're playing it at these moments. But I was watching a interview with Courtney Ian, who plays the young Lottie, and she was saying like the interviewer, who I love, Perry, she was like asking, so what do you think the character meant when she said this? And she's like, honestly, we don't really get to know like what behind it is. You just kind of go with the feeling. And the fact that they're pulling it off that well as actors,
Yes.
when you're like, hi, because I would be the one like, I need you to tell me like what the fuck I did in the wilderness for me to say this line, or like this and that, which I knew Juliette Lewis, who there's some of the older actors who were like, no, I want you to like, I need you to tell me so I can play it off better and whatnot. I did see they're hoping, they do have a thing of like 5 seasons is what they're hoping for, which is good. That's like typical TV, especially for Canada, usually 5 seasons, even though it's not a Canadian show, but it's in the Canadian wilderness. but like 5 seasons is a good solid amount.
Yeah.
And that makes me happy knowing that they do have some sort of goal. And honestly, with the 1996 timeline, we are getting very much like, it's not dragging out, but we're taking our time, and
But
we
it
have
is
yet to figure out who the pit girl is. So the little
Bitch!
teaser they showed us, I hope
pit
maybe
girl.
season 3 will get that, like, figure out who that is, because we haven't even got to that point yet. So I'm only, you know, we are taking our time. Also, we literally, okay, the only thing that with like season 2 is we got like one time where we saw them get off the plane, and I thought we were really touching into that timeline, and they're like, psych, bitch. They did another teaser. They said, what's to come? When is it coming?
We
We're
don't
not
know.
gonna tell you. But it's gonna go, and you're like, flip. But I guess to put us on the subject matter, spoiler, if you're gonna watch this show, or
Don't
for the
listen.
people I've asked to watch this show, and you don't want spoilers because you're not yet
Skip.
caught up, skip to like
Don't.
fucking 12 minutes from now. Fucking Natalie died,
Bitch.
and I
Also,
literally took a day to process.
I love that you think it's gonna be a 12-minute timestamp. That's just gonna be like a 45-minute later until we just finish discussing. Dude, I'm so upset, bro. Like that way she went too. I'm like, are you kidding?
Yes,
Are you kidding me? Like that
the way she
woman
went, yes.
has gone through
But
so much. And for her, first of all, bitch, I got some qualms with Misty right now, bitch. I'm a little upset with that bitch too. But I do feel really bad for. Also, what the fuck was that bitch doing in the woods? Natalie told her to leave. I'm so
yeah, that's the
like,
shit I hate, because I knew that girl was coming. We all knew the minute she was like, I need you not to come. Then she was like, I heard a gunshot, and then she was like, what's going on?
what's going on here?
I loved Callie finally, bitch, doing actual good shit.
Doing
She's like, I'm
something.
gonna shoot Lottie in the arm. Fuck yeah. I'm gonna get you. Which I was like, and then I love her mom's like, bitch, we just play.
Yeah,
Like,
her
we were
mom's
gonna
like, her mom's like,
like,
Kelly.
we were waiting for the Crisis 1 team to get, which again, when they were on the phone with like adult Van and Ty, I got confused because it sounded like they were still taking her to the mental, like the
Okay, yeah,
rehab.
me too. Yeah.
Because then I was like, I thought Van just said like, don't, and then it made sense like, oh no, we will take her ourselves, that it didn't need to be a whole ass team coming in, which clearly it did, because y'all cannot be trusted to go like off.
Okay. I first of all hold on. My brain. Now that I'm thinking back on this goddamn show, my brain's like mush. But I first of all am a little confused. So Walter killed Kevin. Yes, is that what happened? I'm confused. Did he drug him?
I've never been more attracted to a man than Walter. I was like, this is the man you get. I'm like, Misty lucked out. The fact that he was like, I figured everything out, got his gun, which I loved, because he was like, got your gun, wearing gloves, because he is a smart ass man.
Period.
Fucking shot it, and then was like, okay.
And then blackmailing fucking Stranger Things cop over there.
I liked Kevin. I wanted the mustache cop to go, even though I love that actor. He's so funny. Absolutely
No, he's
great
great.
comedic actor. But I was like,
no,
I just wanted Callie to shoot him. Oh my gosh.
I know.
That thing, I was like, can she be like, "Buh!" And then they were like,
please.
this is what I wanted in my alternate thing. When I saw that, I was like, Callie shoots. Then all the adults here, they come, and then they do another. Okay, we have to cover up the murder because we're here to support Shauna's child, since we killed Shauna's baby because
the other
didn't
baby
survive in the weather. You know, like some weird shit like that. But then they're like, no, but I'm not writing this show. Which I guess they had a better ending than my shit, because I want everyone to live. So, which I just to say with this is, I watched it right, late, right as it came out at midnight on my fucking Paramount Plus Showtime thing, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch it, because on Sundays it comes out like normal on TV, so it works that we're doing it now, because that's why they put out After the Buzz and all that stuff after Sunday, because, but I watched it and I was like I was just like, which we'll roll the clip, because I was just like, and I just went, and I laid in my bed and I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, I don't even want to think about it. Like, I can't. And I literally the whole day, and then I was like, well, we have to do this episode, so I will go watch. Then I'm like, fine, I'll watch some interviews, I'll watch some stuff, because I need to understand like why they did it. And people, which you think would get used to it like after Game of Thrones, but people are like, no, I liked that we knew that nobody was safe, which I think does up the ante, because we had that feeling for the 1996 timeline where people are like, oh my gosh, who's like, okay, they survived, but you're like, these extra people, they could be alive, they could die. Like, you had that ante of like, oh my gosh, who's gonna get like the fucking queen card, like who is gonna get
Who's gonna get that necklace? Who's pick girl? Yeah.
So then to be able to have that also in the 2023 timeline, I think ups the show of being like, oh shit, like anybody could go, even though we were feeling okay, Shauna could go to jail, and we kind of had that
Right.
like, oh my gosh, like shit is pointing to her, whatever. People are gonna face consequences. It's just, yes, the way Natalie went, the fact that like also that why the fuck did Misty have something that would kill somebody, like not even like anything that was like, oh no, it's just slow, we gotta like pump her stomach or some shit. The fact that she
But
had
fast
that to be like
acting. She said, "I'm ready."
fast acting shit. But I heard like Christina Ricci, like, well, obviously she gave a great ass performance of like
Oh,
crying, but she did say that she was crying and that they actually like they rapped like after that, and that Juliet and her saw each other at the airport and they cried again, like they because they knew. But also I've been hearing like I had read that like Juliet Lewis like knew that she was gonna die, which obviously, but like kind of knew like way earlier on, like maybe like season one, like they kind of knew where it was going, and that they said like because Juliet Lewis is such like a I want to say method, but like really gets into her characters, that they
God,
said like
she
no
is
offense for
so
the teething
good.
series thing, like it does take a toll on you because the director, who I like, that like the same director who directed the pilot also directed this finale, Karen Kusama, I want to say, I had it here, yes, Karen Kusama, like she said that like she kind of like noted in the interview like yes, like she does take a lot of it, but it was kind of a decision that like they all were, because people were like, no, I think Julia Lewis wanted to leave, like she didn't want to play this character for a long time, so like she had it, like so then hearing that, you're like, okay, like great. Also the fact is like that doesn't destroy young Natalie, so that's
Right.
also
So
great. But
Sophie
I also,
Thatcher will still, yeah.
because Sophie Etcher, that she was devastated because like it, in a sense, like you're losing part of yourself because that
Yes.
older version, so you are playing it not different, but I think it does hold now whenever, fucking dumbass people not paying our writers, fucking with the registry.
Oh,
Once obviously this
Jesus.
shit comes and does it, and we get season 3, like being able to see like it will be more heartbreaking realizing all the guilt, because that was the thing. She felt all this guilt, and
Yes.
actually, so the airplane scene where she's like imagining, I read that they did different, they shot different, like actually that, because Sophie Thatcher said like it was her and Javi, the younger ones, and they were laughing at her before she died. And they, because
What the fuck?
Karen, yeah, it was Karen Kusama was saying that they like kind of did different things, and they realized, because they wanted to kind of show the guilt of like them laughing at her, mocking her, and then but then they realized it seemed way too cruel, because I'm like, yeah, that would have thrown my ass out if I saw people laughing at her. And then you would have been like,
Yeah.
like, because also like, as I was saying, you don't want to accept this death, so the fuck if I would have been more annoyed if people were laughing like, hey, like,
Yeah.
like mocking her. So then I liked that she did like that breath, which some people are saying like, I don't think she was ready. Some people saying she was ready, and then the director was saying like, it's like anybody, like she's like, yeah, we had conversations of like people, like she had conversations with like people that you lose and you wonder like, were they ready to go or were they not? For me, I feel like she was, only the way like I interpret the way she like acted and breathing of, I mean, the big two is that she was Antler Queen. So knowing that we don't know, we only know a little glimpse of exactly what they did in that wilderness once Antler Queen came into thing, of having that guilt, and also realizing like when she got that card, which I thought was great, when she picked the fucking queen card, and you're like, wait, how the fuck is this gonna go out?
Yeah,
Because
because you're like, I see
she's still
older
alive.
Nat, and so you're like, I know she doesn't die, but
But
you're like,
then
so what's gonna happen?
Javi dying, like
Bitch.
Javi dying in her place, I think that started the immediate guilt of like, oh my gosh, we have to do what needs to be done. That then when she saw, which I'm the girl, which her name I knew, but not today. Like the girl coming in, she realized like, I'm not gonna let anybody take my place. Like she could have easily been dead like 20 years ago. So then her taking that girl's place, even though it's so dumb because it's Misty killing, so it's like, what the fuck? Like it would have been bigger if it was a bigger villain or whatever, like
Yeah.
that she needed to really die. But like that girl also could have been like, bitch, this ain't your place. These girls fucking chaotic. Just fucking leave and go. But of course she's not doing that. So then you're like,
Fuck
but then it was nice
yeah.
to be like, but also you have to forget she was gonna kill herself, season 1 finale. And we were all
Yeah.
prepared to be like,
Fuck. Yeah.
gone. And then this second season, and also you think about it, she's really the one of the few that we've really gotten a lot of her
Mm-hmm.
backstory. So then you think of it, they kind of were teasing us, like, because you think like with Ty, we still don't understand why she's seeing the nomad. Like I
It's
still
we
didn't
don't.
go with that. Like if she died, I would have been like, okay,
I'd be
hold
like, wait.
on.
So who's that slender man in the corner? I don't understand what's going on. Or the
Yeah.
like the bad version of her. I'm still really fucking confused on what the fuck
Right.
that
And I think as
is.
an audience, we're like, we still have more on questions answered, but with like Natalie, you knew, okay, she did drugs, she did like what we're doing, and then it will be interesting to see everything she fully did and then realize, oh my gosh,
Oh
like how
damn, that's
much
why she
guilt.
turned to drugs so heavily, and yeah, it's
Yeah, even though she was doing so good, but then I think people realized like because she was having a good character, like her arc this season was good, and she was coming like embracing the change that you're like,
Mm-hmm.
fuck, of course this
Yeah.
like, and I love Missy, and for me, I'm like, I think what's sometimes good about killing somebody that's close is how that will affect all the other characters, and
Yes.
sometimes
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing that will like, how will that affect Misty? You know, that's definitely going to affect Misty the most, but how's that
Oh
also
yeah.
going to affect Ty? Does that mean that she's going to realize she should get with Van? Because I always support that, but
Or is it gonna
yeah.
be, or is there gonna be guilt with Shauna because you think about the past timeline where Shauna was the one that was going to slit Nat's throat when she drew the queen
Mm,
card. You're like, okay, is Shauna gonna feel some guilt now that at this time when, the queen card was not like given to her, that it was given to Shauna instead, and the roles are kind of reversed. Now is she gonna feel some type of shit because of that?
yeah, no, so like that's what makes me excited. Like, okay, to be able to see how that plays, and sometimes you need a big death like that because these characters are kind of doing the same thing, and sometimes a jolt of a death will shake it up, and they'll reevaluate themselves, re-examine, and
Yeah.
like, okay, where are we gonna go? But that was a fun, like, I love how, like, none of them chose, like, when the adult ones were going to cards, and they're like, none of them chose, and then they're all like, okay, so we're done, and then Lonnie's
Yeah,
like,
and then Lottie's
again.
like, again, bitch. I was like, damn, we're gonna do this
Be-
again?
Because it's funny because I was watching it and I was like, this shit never made sense. Like you have like, what is it, 52 or 54 cards in a deck.
I think it's 52
Um,
cards.
yeah, because I'm like, I think you have two jokers or whatever. I'm like, so you have, right? And I'm like, but you have six people, so like you have a low chance of getting that one card. So then I think I said, I was like, what? I was like, so like, what are you gonna do? And then I'm like, oh, you make them go around. I'm like, fuck it.
Until
Gets the
somebody
queen
gets that
card.
queen card.
That's how you do it. Hopefully, I wonder now how many people I mean, I would have them sign like a queen card. Like,
Oh,
hi, I have a queen of
100%. I'd be like,
hearts. Like,
hi,
let
thank you
me
so much. Sign. And then they're like, what the fuck?
sign my
Okay.
$200 varsity Yellowjackets
Yes,
jacket.
bitch. I was like, I'm gonna buy it. And then I looked at it and I was like,
But also, at least
I
you know
can
it's
put that
gonna
on
be
my
like
Christmas list.
a legit one. But also, I'm like, until I'm living somewhere cold, the fuck, I'm gonna wear that heavy ass varsity jacket.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, cause you're like, yeah, it's still like heartbreaking where you're like, yeah, I need to go watch some like Julia Lewis or like when she comes out to be like, guys,
Oh my
I'm okay.
God. Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
okay
yeah.
with this being how it was. And also, I mean, like we discussed, like they had deliberately made that vision of Natalie in the pilot when they're at
In
the
the
party,
pilot,
when she's on, not is
acid
she on
or
Molly? LSD,
something. I
acid,
don't know
whatever,
what she's
something that's
on.
gonna make you see shit. And she sees Misty, and they almost were like, we deliberately put that in a pilot to kind of show
Mm-hmm.
that Misty would be like this angel of death for Natalie, which it's true, like they got together, but I like weirdly liked them as a team. And
Yes.
then
Mm-hmm.
seeing the antler queen, that because I really thought Lottie was like the whole thing. So that kind of also shook me when she was like,
That
Natalie,
kind of
it's
just threw
really
you off.
you. And then you're like, oh no wonder. Because in season one, we had when Ty and Shauna are in the car and they're like, she's like, we owe Natalie our lives. And I always thought Natalie was gonna like revolt from Lottie's thing, and that's what saved them because Lottie was gonna do some crazy
Right.
shit. And then when you realize, oh no, like she's now the antler queen and
Yeah.
she's been the one leading them.
But then also with that, because Lottie even says it in the final episode, where I think just something along the lines of like you were always like its favorite,
Mm-hmm.
like referring to the wilderness, which still what the fuck is the wilderness? So then I'm thinking now because also now in this present timeline, Lottie is still convinced that the wilderness is still there and she can still hear it. What is gonna happen now that the wilderness's favorite is now dead? Like, what is that gonna? Is the wilderness gonna cause them to now do even more crazy shit, or like is the wilderness gonna leave them alone now? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck
I
is
didn't
now
think
gonna
about
happen?
that. I didn't think about it like that, like all the favorites is dead. The thing is, also with the wilderness though, is when they were like, no, it chose Javi, it chose like Kristen, it chose these people, like, but it's like I think in a way of them processing like their guilt of I'm gonna blame it on
Yeah.
something I have, like no, it was the wilderness. But then you think about it, like I think the only reason Natalie was good is because Natalie was a survivor, and we saw
Yeah.
that like when she
Mhm.
had her abusive, like and sometimes the luck of like that she didn't end up shooting her dad, but that it like did it, and then so you think
Yeah.
like she knows how to like she's hardcore, and I think you need somebody like that. Like
Mhm.
you think about all the other girls, and somebody I think Natalie's character knows we have to do stuff in order. Like, and she's still a good moral compass.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, she's still a good moral compass where it's like, no, that's wrong, that's bad. And I'm also sorry, Sophia Thatcher when she's like smiling and
Oh,
laughing when they're all doing it. It's like because she was the outcast. Like nobody was like Natty, but like being able to be like,
no.
no, we follow you. And then that's what people were saying with like Missy's obsession is that because Natalie was Antler Queen, that's why when Natalie comes back in town, like Misty is so like because I love when she does
Yeah.
her fucking curtsy bow to
Yeah,
her, and then she
that's
laughs
so
and she's
misty,
like,
bro. I'm like, shut the fuck
but
up.
then you think, oh, that's why that dynamic played because Missy is like a follower, like I like a loyal
Mhm.
dog, like I will do whatever to protect this. So then like knowing that Natalie was the Antler Queen and then she comes back in life like, oh yeah, what are we doing? I'm gonna help you,
Mhm.
I'm gonna do it, then that's where that comes from of her being the Antler Queen. But it's so funny
Yeah.
because you would have never thought like older Natalie would have been like, no, she was always against it, but she's honestly the one who could lead them where they're like, no guys, we're doing this and that because I don't know, it's interesting because you thought this whole thing with them hearing the wilderness and Lottie, like you
Yeah.
thought that was gonna go on forever. So I'm interested to see how much more of the wilderness are they hearing now that
Right.
Natalie's Antler Queen, you know? Like of course we still see them do crazy shit to like kill the girls and all that stuff, but like really seeing how that's all gonna play out. And then
Yeah.
okay,
Hold on, give me 1 second. My camera died. You
yes,
can keep
yes.
talking, but let me change.
What I don't like when they fucking when the cabin is on fire.
Bitch,
Like I
hold
was
on. I'll be right
not
back.
that
Yeah. Yeah, don't even get me fucking started on that.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that, so
Hold on,
I'll
let me
just
turn my
wait.
camera battery. Give me 1 second. That cabin on fire,
The
bitch.
fire.
First of all, that coach should have been gone, bitch, in the first episode. Like, what?
Okay,
Well,
so
you didn't even bring shit.
you believe he put it on fire.
I don't know who the fuck else would it have been?
The
The
wilderness.
wilderness.
That's gonna be my excuse if I do something about the wilderness.
The wilderness. The
I'm
wilderness.
like, bitch, and then they're gonna be like, bitch, you live in Miami. There is no wilderness. What the fuck are you talking about?
Bitch, you live
Okay,
in the
no,
sand.
because he was doing that weird shit outside and tying, and then he sees Natalie. And that's when I think he lost hope when he sees Natalie, the one person
Yes.
since the beginning that they always were like, we're good people, we're gonna do it. And then you know what? He probably went and hid in that tree where Javi was fucking doing it. But honestly, for me, I wasn't like when I saw it on fire, I was like, what am I supposed to be feeling? Like, am I supposed to be upset? Like, listen, they could get warm as fuck by that fire. I'd be over there
That's
like,
what I was thinking too.
but then I also think because in my head I'm like, but they still have Javi's hideout, so I'm like yes, their house is gone, but also that house
But
had too
also,
much
the
trauma.
thing is though, with that house, and I think with Coach Scott, I don't think he's gonna, because he didn't tell Nat where it was. He just told Nat, "Oh, I know where, and then Natalie's like, "You don't belong here. You're too good." Whatever. Um, so none of them really know where Javi's hideout is, unless the wilderness is like it's over here. I don't
But
know.
Ty, if Ty could find Javi,
That's
fucking let
true.
evil,
She
let
said,
other Ty
yeah,
go to sleep and walk around and find
and walk
that
around the
thing.
wilderness, bitch, and we're gonna find it.
Because I also think they're like, I don't know. I know obviously they're gonna find a place and survive. So like I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Like so that's why when I watched it on fire, I was like, what should I be like more like it's on
No,
fire?
no, no, yeah.
I was like,
Bitch,
but
I would
also
be
I
by
was
that
still
fire
being like,
warm.
I was like, Natalie's dead. We're hearing that it's an overdose, right? Like people, so I'm here still processing her death while it's on fire, and I'm like,
Yeah. I'm like, I don't care about this fucking cabin in the woods right now, bitch. I'm like, I could not care less.
because and then I was like, no, yeah, it has to be like I believe that it had to be Ben being like, fuck all of you guys, and I think he thought I could just get rid of everyone and not have this.
Which,
I mean,
first of
less
all,
people to go in the hideout. But again, is that him? Is it not? But then I was like, but are they could believe the wilderness who dropped a bunch of fucking dead ass birds on them could have somehow.
but then also fucking steam Jackie's body, bitch, with that fucking snow, which I will never get over. That fucking scene, bitch. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
think
we
I'll
didn't even
ever
talk
get over it.
that scene of them
Bitch, I think,
eating.
have you seen that trend on TikTok where it's like, it's like the year 2082 and you have dementia, but all you can think about is TikTok sounds?
No.
People, that's so funny. I gotta send you some of those. But I was like, the only thing, if I am like 80 years old, the only thing I'm gonna think about is that fucking scene where they're eating Jackie. I'm just gonna keep mumbling Jackie, bitch. People are gonna be like, what the fuck is this bitch on? And I'm just like, in a rocking chair, bitch. Like, fucking trauma. Like,
But
I
they
went
did
through
so
shit.
the prosthetics and the fact
Did
that
it
they
so
put in real
well.
meat, like I
Ooh.
would have been like, we need to do that so it actually looks like
Yeah.
authentic. But I just have to say, Jasmine Savoy Brown knows how to eat a human because then, which I hated episode 6, which okay, I just have to say one thing. Like they kept being like this episode, like, and I have to be honest, like majority of the episodes that they said were like, I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like, until the last like 5 minutes, 10 minutes of the show. Because I thought it was gonna be more crazy. I think because I keep like you have to, now I'm realizing the show is not a slow burn, but it's more like how are they doing with
It
the
just,
trauma than it being like eating cannibalism like
yeah,
that where
yeah,
I
yeah.
thought it was gonna be more of that stuff. Because then what is it? I had a friend be like, who I was like, guys, you need to watch Yellowjackets, and then she was like, how are you watching this? It's so gory because I hate gore and shit. And I was like, but it's a good show
But
and it's a
yeah.
female-led cast, and I can look away when they doing cannibalism stuff and not look at it. Like that's how
I
you
can
watch
just
a
hear it.
show.
I can just hear it and go, I don't see.
And be like, see here, no evil, I don't want to be a part of this. But yeah,
I
so it's like that baby one, that episode got me. I literally had to pause that and be like, no. Because like I said, I was like, I just had a nephew born. So I'm like, that baby. And then just her Sophia Lee, like her acting in that of
oh
just the
my
emotion of a young
god.
mom, especially when she's just trying to get her baby to latch and to give it milk. And then, but then again, when that shot, like I only think of Jasmine Savoy Brown going this, like
Yeah.
chomping. That I'm like, but it was so good because you're like, and then, but I was so. That's when you know a show has changed you in the way you think because I was more upset that they ate the baby before they ate
Hey,
Kristen. I was
Crystal,
like, they should have
where the
found.
fuck her name is.
Well,
Yeah.
Kristen is her real name. I'm gonna give her real name, but whatever, Crystal. But like, I was more upset. I was like, y'all could have found her. She had
And
more
eating
meat
her
on her
baby.
bones. She had all of this, and you just ate that little baby. You could have like at least let it like grow up a little bit thicker and then ate it. I was like, what the fuck? I was like going through all of this, and I was like, why am I like this?
Like, this show has changed the way my brain
But I'm over
works.
here like, this is the order of people you should eat. Also, you should have ate Ben, and I hope
You
they
should,
eat Ben season 3.
bitch, I would have fucking chucked his fucking nasty ass leg, cut his other leg off, bitch. Fuck you.
Especially if it's him, because then I hope they go hunt him. Like if he is the one who started the fire, like I'm excited for them to really lose it. But
Me
then I really
too.
want to see that 1998 timeline where like, because I'm interested to see like them doing the test to be like, no offense, after eating all that weird ass shit, I mean, half mostly
And
human stuff,
people, yeah.
like, and clearly not having the right stuff to disinfect all that blood that be on their hands and shit. Like I want to be like them doing the medical exams and be like,
What
okay,
the
you got
fuck?
fucked up. Like
You
they're
go
like,
fucking disinfect yourself right now in that fucking shower, bitch.
we need a bleach inside and out. We need to like prep you ready, like to go. So I hope we do get to see that more in season 3 of like them coming back. You
Yeah, I
know,
do want to see a little bit more of that and seeing like also like what the fuck is the relationship with the parents? Like, I know not like she doesn't, her dad's dead. I don't remember what the fuck happened to her mom in that timeline, or if she, what happens when those kids come home? Does Lottie
Or
get
her
back on her
first
schizophrenia
time.
medication? Like, what?
Well, but that's the thing I love when they're like, people are like, why do they think she's still in Switzerland? Like, it's been like 20 years. Because clearly, like, because we saw a little bit of Lottie's after in that
Yeah,
timeline, like, that her parents are like, she's not speaking, that they do send her away. So I'm interested to, like, I wonder, like, season 3, if it would be like a rehab thing of like, maybe they might show younger Lottie in rehab, like, mental institution, and then seeing the adult Lottie now that she is checked in,
back in,
seeing
yeah.
like what has changed, what has happened, but also like I'd be interested to see like Natalie the first time she goes to rehab. How young is she? When do they do that?
Yeah.
Like, and also even her and Travis's like relationship of when
Yeah,
do
I
they
want
start
to
being
know
like,
more
fuck
about
it, we're doing drugs. I don't want to think about like I'm more interested to see like their first week since we only really saw Lottie's like in that 1998 timeline to see like how quickly were they like, fuck this shit, I'm not forgetting it? Because it seems like really only Thaisa was the only one who kept to her goals. Like, I love that in season 1 scene where she's talking with Shauna and they're laying on the bed and she's like, and Shauna's like, but you did all of that. She's like, I know,
Yeah.
but it didn't feel, the
It
same
still
as if
didn't
we
feel
never
like
went
it,
on
yeah.
that plane crash. So to see all of them, like, and also I think we are probably I'm saying probably, but we should be getting that with Ty and Van because everybody wants to know what really happened where they did it. Was it
Yes.
because she went away to school and it wasn't working out? Because then they say that they went to Shauna's wedding. I want to know how soon they got married, Jeff and Shauna. So I really do
Also,
hope we get to play with that.
I want to know Jeff's reaction to what happened to her in the will, because when he talks to Callie about forget what episode that is in season 2.
I think it's episode 8, I want to say.
Is it where he talks about like,
Like
Shauna
the
was
baby, like, oh,
pregnant
your
out
mom went
there
through a
and
lot.
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. So I
I'm
want to
pretty sure
see
it's right
kind of
before, yeah, the finale.
I want to see kind of what Jeff's like thoughts are on all of that, because I don't think Shauna would have told him everything that happened out there, but I do think in regards to the baby, she probably told him. So I want to know
Well, no, she
what,
didn't. You know the reason he knows?
because he read the
It's because he read
journals.
the journals. Yeah, yeah.
That's
She
true.
didn't
I
tell him
just
shit.
remembered
She
that.
didn't. She didn't. She didn't tell him shit.
Bates Kill, first of
Anything.
all, can we talk about Jeff, please? The icon that Jeff is, because I didn't like
What a
him
man.
in the
What a
beginning.
husband.
I didn't like him in the beginning because obviously you think that he's having an affair, and it sure as shit does look like he's having an affair. But bitch ass is
But he's doing something
blackmailing
worse. He's doing something worse, which is blackmailing all her friends that she has trauma with. So you're
to
like,
get money, bitch, to get out of debt.
I'm not so just surprised how they found all that Adam Martin stuff, like the body parts, because I'm like, I thought they did a good job, and I was ready to believe as an audience that they were gonna get away with it. So
Right. And
also, season 2, I think, was like really only like a week or two of that time. You have to think adult
right,
timeline was a few days from
yeah.
like season 1. So you're like,
Wait a
so I
minute.
wonder if we will get a time jump season 3.
Oh,
Like,
that would
because
be
you think about
interesting.
it, what's the point of us getting immediately like, we don't need a like, I would be more interested to be like, okay, Lottie's already in the thing. The shit with Shauna's done with the cops, like seeing that of like how they're dealing with not, but that yeah. But the writing is really good. Like the fact that they were
Oh
able to
God,
take
yeah.
Jeff's character as like a typical cheating, everyone's like screw
Man,
him, and then
yeah.
be like, wow, he's really
Wow, I
and
really
also
love
like
him.
I'm interested to know like yeah, like his love for Shauna, because he does have love for her, like that he would marry her after like that's why I'm interested to see their timeline after she gets back of like
Yeah.
what that love looked like and what that foundation of their relationship was to then be like, yeah, we're getting married. And the fact that he's like, I'm gonna go to prison for her. And I think after reading those journals, I think you would feel
A little.
sympathy for a young teenage girl who had no idea what was going and kind of just went into her animalistic primal things to
Yeah.
survive. Because that's the thing is
'Cause-
like they're all survivors. They all did what needed to be done to, and that's why I like when in the finale Van has that talk with Travis, which I have to say the finale I was liking. We were getting scenes with characters we normally don't get, like Van and
yes.
Travis. We've never had a scene like that with them, and where she tells Travis, like, no, I'm not
Just
ashamed. I
let,
did what needed to
yeah.
do
But
to
also let,
survive. And it's like, yes, like you shouldn't be like, I'm here. Like, no, but like, and especially Van, she already played with
Van
death
got
like a
through a
few times
shit
there. So
ton,
she's like,
yeah.
no, I'm happy to still be here. I'm not gonna be like And guess what? If we need to eat your brother to survive, we're gonna eat your brother
Fucking
because
bon appetit, bitch.
like Katy Perry, bon appetit.
Bitch. But I literally, man, I was looking after I watched the episode. Obviously, I stayed off of the internet for a while before I watched it because I didn't want any spoilers. Um, but I was on the internet after I watched it because I really needed to process. So I went to my great interest to TikTok to see what people were thinking about on that app. And I was seeing a couple theories that I kind of enjoyed and I thought would be really interesting if they did. Or at least if they had like planted the seeds earlier on in the season to now be paid off, which I think is really cool. But when Javi comes back after like dying the first time or whatever, and he's not talking, and you know, Travis is like, oh, he'll talk when he's ready, blah blah blah. But then there's that one scene where like that queen card is missing for a little bit, and like Javi had it. Do you know what I'm talking about? So did the wilderness already premeditatedly choose Javi because he had the queen card before they even did any of the drawing? He already had it. He was the first one to have it. So then when they do the drawing, Nat obviously gets it, but she's the second one to get it, and Javi was still alive. He didn't die out in the wilderness. So I think there was kind of a weirdly, really well planted misdirect for the audience where at first you're like, bitch, I don't care that he has a fucking queen card. You're like, who cares? I just want to know what other shit is happening in this fucking episode or in this, you know, moment of the show. So now that we see like in the second to last episode where they do that drawing and Javi dies, I think he was always meant to die because he had the queen card. He drew it first, which you don't think about until now that you're reflecting on the whole thing. You're like, oh shit, bitch.
Wow, that is interesting. No, I like I love the people that go in the theory. I enjoy right now. This show is one of the shows where it's like I want to watch. I like watching the theories and being like, especially when
Yes.
people get it and you're like there's one girl that I watched that like she'll be like she like called the cancer with Van and all this stuff, and it's like, and for me again it makes it enjoyable. Like, oh my gosh, there's little things of that, and like
Connecting it.
building that it's like again a well like thought out like show. But yeah, but me then I'm like, okay, I just want to be like. I can be generally surprised with the show, and like of
Oh
course I
yeah,
have my own things
absolutely.
of like, oh, I would like this to happen, but yeah, I think you learn, or especially with like TV, you're like, let me not, because then someone's gonna die, and you're like,
Yeah. Like, fuck
I
that
don't
shit.
watch this show anymore.
But there was another person that had a theory where due to Javi's death, um, she was talking about how like she believes that the way Javi dies really I mean it affects, but it also kind of like inspires the girls because when you think about how the way the pit girl dies, she falls through the ground, right? And Javi fell through the
Oh
ice. So
shit.
so she was thinking like, okay, well maybe after seeing that they decide to, you know, like implement that hunting tactic, I guess, to the other, you know, their other like prey or whatever you want to call it. Because it's
Yeah,
pretty
because it seems
similar.
like no, that's smart to like yeah, the symbolism of like the falling through, even though that's like a big trap of like catching it, but I like that it's like, yeah, we're not gonna fuck with the water anymore because to get it. But then now I'm remembering like how heartbreaking it was for Nelly, because that's exactly like how they lost the moose.
The moose,
Like the
yes.
moose was in there, and then seeing Javi like literally be like, but they got Javi, but they didn't get the fuck. Because if they would have got the moose, they wouldn't have
They
not
wouldn't have
really
needed to, yeah,
needed to
exactly.
kill people right away. But then also I liked how the younger cast, they did like a little funeral for Javi that they posted. That was so cute. Yeah, I
Also,
like how like they're all like good friends and
bitch, I don't know how you
get
couldn't be,
along with
bitch.
each
We're going
other.
through some traumatic shit together.
And they're like
Even
laughing
though
like,
it's not
eh.
real, but they're like, taking pictures with like Jackie's dead body or like.
Yeah.
Also, the fucking art department is incredible on this fucking show, bitch.
So good. Even the fact that they built this whole
The whole
snowy like tundra in the
on a fucking
soundstage where you're
soundstage,
like,
bitch. I'm like,
that
that
came
shit
out
look
really,
real.
even the behind the scenes, like looking at it back, like how Tom, you're like, wow, that came out really good. But I'm
Yeah.
also used to like shit ass on a soundstage, like film sets where you're like,
Yeah.
You're
wait a
like, so don't
minute.
show any of this wall in camera.
Yeah. We're just
And
gonna make sure you don't go
we're gonna
past this
dress
line.
and fill every space with something, which I know they would hate that I have this plain wall.
The
if this
blanket.
was a
Oh yeah, I
movie.
might have too much, so we're both in
We'll
trouble.
just, yeah.
In between the both of us, there's a
There's a good medium.
Yeah.
Next time I'll just put some random ass movie poster on there. I'll start leaving little Easter eggs on
There
this
you
wall.
go. But
And my favorite scene is the dead rat. That's my favorite scene.
shut the
of season
fuck
2.
up. I literally that shit got me, bitch. I was like, what the
And
fuck?
we were watching that
Why?
episode together. That's and I didn't even look at it for like 2 minutes. I was gonna say I hate animals, but that's not what I'm gonna say. Like
Rodents.
I don't do rodents. I don't do rodents. Even though I played a mouse and then a cracker for a few years, but like I don't know. Like so that, and the fact is like you thought she was alive, but like that's what I love, that you think the people who are sane are not. Like they're actually like
Yes,
actually
they're
I'm losing
all
my shit. Also, we still haven't figured out what the fuck that dripping noise was that the girl heard, and now the cabin's not burnt, so who knows what
so
that
now we
was.
ain't gonna hear no more dripping, bitch.
Because you're like, okay, she's on things. And then it's like, I loved that character. I thought, because I like that we saw more of her. Because like she was in season 1, but we got a few things or whatever. But like, you're like, oh, it's alive. And then, but I love that it's always Thaisa's like, y'all are fucking nuts.
But Thaisa,
and I'm awake.
who is like
Thaisa, who has the
the
most.
most up here that you're like, and she's the one that's like,
But it's
"Yup,
when she's
fuck
unconscious. So it's when she's unconscious. So that's why her conscious is like holding
Really
it together. 'Cause
there,
she
yeah.
was like, she's like,
That's
who are you
dead.
talking to? And she's like, shh. And then to think that girl was petting like the bones of a rat, I was like, no, bye, bye, bye. Like the fact that she was just like,
Bitch, and then she tried to
and she
eat
said
it,
was
bitch.
alive.
No, she tried to eat
Yeah,
it.
that's when I couldn't watch.
That's when you're like, oh no. Like that's what I'm talking about, how the art department is so good, because that shit looked so disgustingly shriveled and dehydrated and real, and I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it anymore. Oh Jesus Christ. Yeah, no. But then you also think about like the human instinct of wanting to, have have something.
But also have something that's your own. Because imagine living in a
Exactly.
cabin with a bunch of girls, like one room.
Bitch, first of all, the
Only
girls that
pretty
you went to
much.
high school with, also your varsity soccer team that you probably spent way too much time with, and now you're stuck in the goddamn Canadian wilderness in this fucking cabin. And we also don't have a cabin anymore because dumb coach Scott bitch decided to fuck it. First of all, what the fuck was going on with him and his little visions of like going back to, I don't know what the fuck that was. I was confused by
There's a
that.
lot of vision shit in here that you're like, I'm gonna wait till it's
I'm gonna wait until
explained.
someone explains this to me, because I'm just gonna move past it for now until it's
I
explained
thought it
to
was
me why it's
well,
happening.
like I liked when they're like, when it started getting like more tangled, like it was for sure. And I watched the thing about the lady who runs the wardrobe department was saying like, no, we made it very like sitcom-y, especially if you think about the 90s, that's big for sitcoms. She's like, we made it the way they were clothed, and then once we started getting more, it started getting like where they were in that cabin playing like charades, yeah, like, and that it like was like and then you would hear the noise and it would like come
Yes.
in. Like I like that everything was
The way it edited
melting
was so good.
his brain, because he was like, I haven't eaten no food, I need to, oh my gosh, I need to get. And that clearly does shit to you, even though the people who were eating, they thinking rats alive. Like everybody is
Bitch.
losing their brain. I would love to see somebody, like I would love to see another survivor in the present time, but somebody who literally was like, I'm getting the fuck out, like one of those people who were like, but I don't think anybody has it together. I think I would not have it together
Bitch,
after that.
I think I would pull a Nat, dude, and like do drugs to like get calm, bitch. Because you think about like also like, your PTSD and all the shit that goes through your head on a daily basis when you're like,
I would
bitch,
never want to go
I can
on
never
a
look at a
camping trip
steak ever again.
or
I'm
a
not going on a
plane.
plane.
A plane or a
No.
camping trip, never in my life. I would go
No.
live on the beach. I would live somewhere where it was like, yeah.
Farthest away from trees, bitch. I'm gonna live.
And it's funny they all go back to New Jersey, but I guess because it's like home. So I guess like after having that, you would want to come home and you would want to stay home. You would want to be like, this is what I.
Yeah.
And also because a lot of them are still holding on to not like their childhood, but like holding on to like for instance, Shauna is trapped in a 17-year-old girl's body. Like that's like how her brain works and whatever. Which I was here for that, like her little like affair and living that, and like it made sense like for her character and all that stuff. But and all the actors, that's the thing, is all the actors are so good. So
They're
it's like,
so
even though like
fucking
technically
good.
like that character perhaps I would not, but you end up liking all of the characters, which sometimes not the case.
Oh
Like there's
yeah.
a few that I'm like, okay, I would probably be a mix of these two or whatever. But they're all so good that you're like, yeah, and the way that they're written is so like well-rounded that they're all
Yeah.
flawed. They all made decisions, but you're like, I don't blame
Like,
anybody. I mean, there's some shit that I'm like, y'all really
you
could have
could have,
pulled up that moose or that, y'all could really
y'all could have just, if
done
y'all
this
fucking
and
helped her.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're like, but yeah, I'm trying to think what else. I was gonna go back and scan through, like, and do
So
it,
was
but I was
I.
like,
But then I was like,
but
no.
I was like, there's already so much about the finale, but also it's like, no, I'm in a good, like, even though I've been watching it weekly, then I was just trying to think about stuff that I'm like, what happened that I was like, wow,
Yeah,
but
I think we already kind of hit
yeah,
all the stuff that I was like, what the fuck about? I mean, the baby,
the baby, the rat,
the rat,
and Natalie
and
dying,
Natalie. We really hit the trifecta, man.
because people were kind of saying a little bit like with the first two episodes. I remember reading comments like, I mean, I just like to see what people are saying like audience wise, because if
Yeah.
you want truth, go to the YouTube comments, because that's when people don't give a shit and they will say whatever they
Whatever the
want
fuck they
and they
want,
don't
yeah.
care. But people were like, oh, it's kind of like a little bit like not slow. I guess I don't know if they wanted more like happening or things like
Mhm.
that or whatever. But I was like, I don't know, like looking back at it, I thought it was a good season. Of course, season one, like, you know what I mean? Everybody has their kind of hopes of like, oh, this is where I want this season to
Yeah.
go. And I'm glad that they're not like doing what the audience wants, but they're doing what they're the spearheaders of the story, you know?
Yeah.
Like this is their story to tell. And I think that's when things get hard with TV. It's like, well, no, I want it to be told like this. And you're like, you weren't
But
in the
bitch,
origin of this story. So
yeah.
like your opinion to them, like sometimes TV shows do good where they add it in. Like for instance, like Antler Queen was something that the fans came up with to discuss
Hmm.
it, and so they kind of embrace that now of like, okay, yeah, that's but like, yeah, adding to like, okay, like this is their story, so let's hear them out and see. And
Yeah.
sometimes you may not agree with like that's why you told that story, but letting it happen, letting it go, and I mean, I tell anybody, even though there's some people I'm like, you shouldn't watch this because it's a little too like but it's not so much
Yeah.
cannibalism. That's what I have to say. Like,
No.
even though if you heard about the show, you're like, oh, the can like we all joke about the cannibalism, but I'm like, we barely have started scraping the
The
surface of the
surface, bitch, of what
cannibalism.
the fuck happened
They've
out there,
only
yeah.
eaten two people.
And almost a rat, but
I love
that
how
was
you're
just
like,
one
it's two
person.
seasons and they've only eaten like two people. Like they can
Like, there could be a little more cannibalism for my liking.
yeah, like I wanted like more people like cutthroat, but now they're gonna get more desperate, and we love desperation in any character because that's when shit starts hitting the fan. So,
I do
and
want
is
to,
Thaisa's wife gonna wake up?
bitch. I also forgot about the fact that woman literally said, "I'm just gonna leave. I'm just gonna leave and go find Van and forget that I have a son and a wife." I'm like,
Or
I'm
that she
here
just
for
became
that.
state senate. But that's what I said. Like when people were hating on that, I was like, let me tell you, as somebody who works with politicians,
They don't do shit.
yeah, and it's really their office who are running shit, and she doesn't actually have to be in office. And until she's like actually in session where they like meet, is she more like,
Hmm.
hey, you need to be here? But even then, she can pull it. And then you have to think like, guys, only been a week. Also, her wife is technically in the hospital, so no one's really gonna be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Will they be weird when whoever runs against her is like, "So how come you were at this weird ass retreat when your wife was in the hospital
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
you were with an ex-lover of yours?" Like, yeah, the
yeah.
Slam campaign they could do with this girl's choices, yes, but like that shit, like, yeah, because sometimes people get like, this doesn't add up, which I mean, most of the stuff that they do in the show usually is like, okay, that makes sense. That
But
okay, this and
it's also
that.
not. It's not so jarring. Like when people talk about like, well, this was an answer and this and this. I'm like, well, I'm not like. It's not like you get. It's not like you're lost within what's going on in the plot. You're like, yeah, that wasn't fully answered this moment, but like with the way the show is going, you know that they're gonna answer them. Those questions later on, which I think is one of my favorite things about the show is that it doesn't like spoon feed you everything and be like, oh, here's the answer right away. It's more so like, here's kind of this thing that happened, but we're gonna wait a little longer until you realize, why it happened or whatever the case may be. So I think they're doing a fantastic job, and this show's great. So
No, yeah, y'all should watch it if you can stomach whatever we discussed
Cannibalism
in this
and rats.
episode. Even though the rats only come season
It's literally
2,
season 2 for
so
like 5 seconds, but
even
it's
though the
just
plane crash, I
triggering.
felt actually sick to my stomach watching like
That
how
was
well they did that. I was
insane.
like I even had a show where I'm like, because I usually don't watch shows that I'm like, ugh. But this show is like
They do
you
a
can have
fantastic
and then
job.
you're like, oh my gosh, this is so good. So yeah.
But I will also, I think, like, I was watching an interview with the showrunners where they were discussing the casting for older versions and younger versions, and they had said like it was not so focused on like look wise. They're like we were not very focused on making sure like how they did with like Queen Charlotte, where it like you can see the young versions potentially becoming, and looking like the older versions. They were like, we don't expect you to fully believe that Sophie Thatcher will turn into Juliette Lewis. Like we can tell that there's not, it's not focused on that. What it was they really wanted to focus on the way that these actors portray the characters. And I think one of the best examples is Sophie Thatcher and Juliette Lewis, and how they both embody Natalie so incredibly well. I'm not saying any of the other actors don't do it with their respective opposites, younger and older, but there's something about the way that those two have worked together. And there's moments where we're in the old timeline with young Nat where she's saying it's the way the things she does with her voice and the way she delivers sounds so much like Juliette Lewis, and vice versa. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Like, did they just have them like have her voice over it and then just lips it? Like, I'm like, dude, that's insane. They did such an incredible job with it, and it doesn't take you out, because sometimes people are like, if the older version or younger version don't look exactly the same, you're like, it's fine. But they do such a great job with this show that I think it enhances the entire experience with the timelines, because you love the younger versions and the older versions. So you're like, bitch, I don't want anything to happen to any of the older versions because that's the present timeline. So you're like, bitch, what the fuck? It's
But
so
even
good.
But even like their cast members, like I remember them saying like when they were doing like their big like press or like for your consideration
Mhm.
stuff, that they were like no, everyone was impressed with Sophie Thatcher, like because she did lower her voice, and she's like, it was
Yes.
easy for me to match it because Juliette Lewis has a lot of movies, so I just watched
Right.
them and I was like, okay, how am I gonna tell it? But also it's like it's good enough that it's like she's still young, so you still hear the
Mhm.
youngness, and then you hear like the hoarseness more, like that you can tell there's been 20 years from and what that voice like has happened and done it. But even like Sophie Elise and like Melanie Linsky, like they look
Yes.
alike. Like
Oh,
even the looking, I mean, Jasmine Savoy and why is my brain blinking on the older Thaisa?
Thaisa.
They look alike.
Oh my God,
Like
yeah.
everybody looks, and it's true. Like you could look and be like, okay, her nose isn't exactly, or like
Exactly.
her
Right,
eyes,
right, right.
but it's like, but I like that they were like, okay, you get the gist that this is younger, but it's like, how do these people approach it? And it's almost like they have similar ways, like the way that like Shauna is played by both of them. I think they very
Yes.
much like almost like come with it at care that only like I
Mhm.
mean Melanie Linsky is such like a good human being,
Oh,
and like the way she's like,
bitch.
and I love how they're always so supportive of each other, which this is maybe a sexist comment, but I think mostly happens when it's like women being like, we're just so happy that we're like leading, that they're gonna support other women to be like, look how amazing like my cast members are, look at their great
Mhm.
performance and this and that. Like that both her and Sophie, I think, like bring that like sweetness and care that makes Shauna like you see the innocence in Shauna still, even though because that bitch be like, I'm a fucking butcher. Shoot it. I mean, I loved her unhinging. Even though Jeff was
I
like, you need
loved
to
it.
stop. I was like, I love Shauna coming up with her fucking gun and telling you how to rip a human skin off. I was like, you better pop off. Let's go. Like the way they approach it, and like each of the, and then for instance, like with Van, because everyone was saying like with that casting of the adult Van, they're like they nailed it. Like the way that she portrays um what Liv Houston does, like
Mhm.
is so good. Like just the mannerisms where they think, but the thing is like they talked about it
Yeah.
like in season 1 they when they did interviews they're like, oh no, we look at like whoever does that scene first, say for instance they want us to have the same like look or delivery, whoever did it first, we match that one. And
Mhm.
like they each have like good communication with each other to talk about, and also they give them the freedom to be like, hey, I'm not gonna box you in and be like, this is how we're
You have to
doing
do it
it.
just like
Because
this.
every
Yeah.
actor works different of how they want to approach it, and how they memorize lines or how they
Mhm.
deliver. But I think they have just such a good cast, because even they talked about like even their crew too, like with the birthing
Oh
scene,
my
how everyone was
God.
so like, hey, how are you doing good? Are you doing well? Like doing all this stuff, that it was like, okay, we feel safe here to be able
Yeah.
to push ourselves, to be able to give this delivery, and we're all here going to support you and give our best performance so that your performance is even better. So that's why the show is fucking good, and you should watch it if again you
Watch
can
it.
stomach any of the stuff we said, and also you can just skip that stuff too. You're not gonna miss out. Like you understand they ate the body, you can skip. You don't gotta watch them.
Yeah, you can skip. Bitch,
The whole body.
when Shauna was like cutting Javi up, I was like, bitch, what the fuck? Although I'm still really confused on why the fuck Travis had to bite the heart. I don't know what the fuck
Yeah, I don't
that
get that either. I
was.
don't fuck with hearts.
Maybe
But like
maybe that
that
will
was.
maybe that will get fucking answered later.
Yeah,
I
because
don't know.
I just loved how she just had that heart. She's like, okay, I kept the heart.
Yeah, I
And
was
then I
like,
thought, because like the bear heart. Oh, did they eat the bear heart? Did somebody bite the bear heart,
wait,
or am I
yeah,
making that
right?
up?
Why do I
I
think it was
think
Thaisa?
so.
I don't think it was, but
Maybe at night, but
maybe when she was sleepwalking, that bad Thaisa
no,
said,
but I
I'm
think they
hungry.
had, because then I was like, okay, it's like the bear heart. So I thought they were gonna put the heart up. I didn't think Travis was gonna go.
Eat
But I
it,
think in
bitch.
a way he was saying like, yes, I agree, we can eat my brother. Like that's how I would interpret it. Like, yes, we can
Okay.
chomp chomp, everyone.
Chomp
dig in.
chomp, bon
And
appetit.
then the fasting, especially because I just been watching Missy like fucking like throw that shit in the skillet to be like, we need to burn this meat. Because at first I was like, that y'all eating it? And then I was like, oh no, y'all need to cook that shit. Because I was like, why are you eating that raw ass heart? But okay.
Is there anything else we want to add last minute? Well, I guess we can infer that my favorite character is Natalie because I'm devastated, and both actresses are fucking incredible. So I love Natalie. Who's your favorite character? I also really like Van. Sorry, adult Van. I don't know what it is.
No, I love
He's
Van. I love
incredible.
Van, and I will ship Ty and Van, and I hope that
To the
yeah.
end of my
And
day.
even though clearly Van gonna die of cancer or something, so like yeah, that was a bullshit that I was like almost to bring her back, but then I'm glad like she didn't die, because then that would have been upsetting that they brought her back. Because also they brought remember I was like, she's gonna appear, and then she appeared like right at the end of
2
episode
seconds,
4, and it was
bitch.
like, so we barely got her, and then now you're gonna tell her that she's gonna die. But I think I don't know. I mean, just with her like surviving so many times and like her movie knowledge, and it's like, but I feel like I'm a mix of her and Misty, only because well, and let me not say that I'm a straight psycho, but like if I like I just have Misty's like she's smart. I love her little like detective shit. Like that I vibe with, but then her being like I don't know, doing what needs to be done, and you sometimes need people like that. So
Yeah.
like it works with everyone's little skill set. Like coming in and whatever. I mean, I love Ty as well, like just like how driven she is. But like for me, yeah, it's Van. Van is my favorite, like since yeah. But and I love but then again it's like I like all of them. I love
Yeah, it's
Lottie. Because of the cast and everything, you're like, I love these women, like they're so good that you really don't want anything bad to happen to them.
also,
But
bitch, when Shauna beat the fuck out of Lottie, I was like,
bitch, but I've never seen a woman's like anger represented so well, like where it's like, see, like they get it, like where sometimes you're so angry with the world that you just need to beat the shit out
the
of
shit
someone.
out of
Do
someone.
I condone beating the shit out
Violence,
of
no,
people?
but maybe sometimes.
No, yeah, no. Yeah, depending on who the person is on the other side. Like Lottie didn't do anything, but Lottie also, I think it had to be Lottie, not because Lottie's like, I'm a martyr, but I think she knew, like she had so many like mixed feelings with Lottie.
Yeah.
So
That
it's like
it
in
only
a
made
way.
sense.
But then I
'Cause
just love how Nelly was like, what the fuck? Like, did we just witness? Like, we just watched her beat
it
the shit and nobody stopped her. Like,
nobody did
especially when it was getting
anything.
too far. But that's why I would be like, listen, we need to make a punching bag so we can just beat the shit out of things. Yeah, that was sad. And then, but I like how they kept her face. Like, that's not to say their makeup
Oh
department is
my
so good with it. Like,
God.
they keep also
Her
like
eyes are
Natalie had no
bloodshot.
eyeliner, but they put like the
Oh,
weird ass like sunburn and the lips chapped, and like they looked like they were in the
weathered,
fucking
bitch.
wilderness a
Yeah.
lot, which they did with the one show. I think it's The Wild that I thought their makeup things, because they were out in the sun, so they did like a
Mm-hmm.
lot of like nasty ass like sunburns, which I'm like, so you like that because then it plays in like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you can only imagine like they've been out here a long time, and it reminds you as like the viewer that like they've been through shit, bitch. Like
Yeah.
I don't know how to end this. So would you like to?
that's it. Watch the show, bitch. We ended it pretty much
So
well.
many
Our
times.
thoughts. sometime you're gonna cut and put that there. What do we say
Yeah.
for the outro? I'll say this. I love television. If you're listening because you know me, you know I have an addiction and I don't sleep because I rather watch TV. So if you guys have any recommendations of shows you want our crackhead chaotic
Yes.
thoughts on, please send. I enjoy. I will watch literally anything from Canadian web series to HBO. You let me know where I can watch it and I'll watch it. I probably have the streaming service it plays on. So yeah. So let us know. We're always down to do it. Or if you're like, please don't ruin my show,
Please
approach
shut
it
the
at
fuck
a
up.
you're like, please, or you can just be like, noted, please. I like this show. I don't want you to shit on it. Which I want to say we're not gonna shit.
Also,
We're not here to shit on shows. Maybe a little bit,
little
but
bit.
not. But we're here to be like, listen, look at views because me and you also have different TV show
That's true,
likes.
yeah.
So we're here to be like, listen, it's not all bad. What can we take that's good from it, and what can we take that's bad from it? So
Anyway, that is gonna be us wrapping up this first episode of the podcast. Like Hannah said, if you guys have any recommendations that you would like to see us or listen to us, whatever your platform of choice is, react to, just leave it somewhere. I don't know. We'll see where we put this shit on. Write a letter. I
if
don't
you
know, and
didn't
send
like
it.
it, if you didn't
Shut
like
up.
it, give it
Don't
a
say
thumbs
anything.
up. If you did like it, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe because we're gonna try and do this weekly. So
So we
if you
will see.
subscribe, we'll be held to do this
Yeah,
weekly.
it gives
So
accountability.
it's more we need accountability. So please subscribe. Also, like, what does that do? We're not gonna be annoying. You don't need to put the bell on. You don't need to be notified.
Bitch,
on the
just go
phone.
on, just go on YouTube and go on whatever and see, and you'll see that we posted something. But
Listen to
typically,
this
yeah,
podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts at. What is
Apple
the line they
Podcasts,
always say?
Spotify. But anyway, so before we keep talking for another fucking 45 minutes, that's the end of the episode. Yeah, if you guys enjoyed,
We don't know how to
um,
end anything. So
yeah, so we're
I
gonna just
think
be
it should just
generally.
cut abruptly. There's no
Yeah,
outro.
and then
This is
it's bars and tone. But that's it.
your
Okay.
laptop died. Bye.
That's it. But no, honestly, this is the end of it. Okay, you guys, we'll see you in the next episode of the AHA
See you.
podcast. Bitch, I don't know what people say in a podcast, bitch. Don't come at me. We're already too cracked out, bitch. This shit's already too long.
Like, we'll see you. We can see anybody.
That's in shit. But if you comment and you interact, bitch, we'll see you in a weird way.